So is this like essentially a sit it and forget it type of item? Like after you've done the initial adding of the ingredients and you've inoculated the jar, do you have to do anything else until you harvest it?
Pretty much no, you don't have to do anything else. Uh, and you can probably buy these jars. We're thinking about how to prepare them already inoculated and colonized, but also just the substrate already ready to be inoculated, and then with a syringe, and you can buy 5 to 10 of these jars at a time and have a small growth system for you with no extra help. There's only temperature. Temperature is the one main thing, is that you want it in the mid 60s and not to go over 70 for any periods of time. So
Can you go lower than the 60s?
you can go quite a bit lower, but they will slow down. The best performance is the mid 60s. And then it'll take a month to a month and a half or so for this. This one is this one's probably about a month right now, and it's still got another week and a half to go. It's not mature yet.
And so maybe close to 2 months from inoculation to harvest date.
Yes.
Well, that's a pretty quick turnover.
And it's this is a very good mushroom for our energy, for our health, but also, wouldn't you love to have that on your table and watch it do all that? I mean, now why do I grow things?
Yeah, exactly. It's a cool. It's like a cool talking piece for your friends. Like look at this cool thing.
Yeah.
So if you're keeping your house at some people might be keeping their house as hot as like 80, even more than 80 degrees in the winter. Do you think that keeping it like in a garage maybe, or keeping it next to like a window, does it need a certain amount of light or anything like that?
It does need ambient light, but that could be provided if you're putting in an area that doesn't have a window, just with some LED lights. But
So it doesn't need like a strong amount of light like a plant.
no. But the LEDs work pretty well. Blue actually is a pretty good light. I've read, I haven't tried it yet. So, and LEDs tend to be blue. And though full spectrum is what I usually use in the LEDs. But also for temperature, you might maybe have a pantry or something like that, a laundry room or something that you don't keep as warm as your house. You might have to do that. But if you keep your house no warmer than 70, it'll be fine. You could keep it right there on your kitchen counter and talk about it all the time.
And have you done any tests, like let's say your house gets up to, because our house will sometimes get up to like 71 to like maybe even 75 with the heater in the winter. We generally don't go over 75, and if we get to 75, it's just kind of like we were cooking, and we live in a tiny house, so it gets warm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But if it does get up a little bit over 70, do you have any idea of how that will affect the growth? Like will it just like, oh no, the growth is done, or like it's gonna kill it, or is it like oh well, that's just gonna slow it down, not a big deal?
Well, I haven't got enough experience in this to really say that from my experience. I've only watched every video, read. This is, as in our other videos, our first production, though we have 2 more coming behind that are fruiting. So My feeling though, just from my experience in mushrooms and all, is if it gets up warm for a couple hours, over 70, 71's okay is what they say. If it gets up over, it's 75 for a couple hours, but your house is usually not even over 70, then you don't have to really worry. That's not going to be a big change. It's during the development time, when the mycelium is first colonizing and when it's getting ready to pin, from what I've read and watched, that is a period that's very needs to be taken care of, because if it gets too warm, you'll get a very fluffy mycelium or also another type of fungus will actually have the competitive edge, and so keeping that competitive edge is a big part of mushroom growing. So that would be one time that would be the most important, to keep your temperatures steady. So that would be through probably the first incubation period of close to a month. And then your second month you'll have that out, be able to watch it grow.
Gotcha. And so then with as far as a potential product, would you think that like if I were a buyer, would it be better to buy one that's already inoculated and ready to go, or one where I inoculate it myself if like the cost efficiency is there and maybe I'm not ready to use it now, but I want it to come in and I know I'll be ready to use it soon enough? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts, being the kind of grower I am, is that you should buy one that's already inoculated and learn about it. But if you really want to get into it, you should buy one that's already inoculated. Also buy a kit of 5 uninoculated ones in a syringe, because that syringe will last a year. You can actually even start either sterilizing your own or buy more jars of sterilized and use that syringe several times. So I would do both.
So with the syringe, do you think that it would be okay for someone to do multiple inoculations over time with the same syringe? Like where you could inoculate one and then a week later start another one and then a week later start another one by like storing the syringe in the fridge or something? Or when you use that syringe that one time, do you need to use it all that day? Like will it get like dirty or contaminants?
Well, I find it works fine using it several times. You want to make sure you have a clean needle, maybe a fresh one, or some sort of torch or something to sterilize the needle. But I've done this several times already with the culture that you brought me, this one, and I've already done liquid culture off of it twice, and both times they're beautiful, clean and contaminant free, and I'm saving it to do it again because I want to keep my generations very young to avoid senescence.
Wow, it's really gorgeous.